Good morning. Welcome to the introduction to Onsite roster processing, the new business web application for CLS. Under business web, on the from the home page, we go down through our list of applications on the nav bar, choose the CLS heading, and go to Onsite rosters. That will open up the home page of the new application. There are 3 pages in total. Deliveries is the home page, and it's the list of the meetings that are currently being worked or have been worked in the past. It's a standard page. You should be familiar. All the column headings are sortable. There's a filter so that if you want to say select only J. Murray in the filter and work that, you can. You can hide the filter. You can set the number of items that you want on a particular page at any given time, and then go through the different pages. Okay, we've seen the home screen now. There are only 2 other screens or pages in the application. One is the meeting page, and the other is the attendee page. We'll look at the meetings now for this first one. And we've gathered together all the information about or key information about the meeting from IMIS. Here's the program manager information. Here's the information from the Onsite delivery tab, including 2 new fields, CEU print and promote code. From the order, the bill to order, the billing order itself, and roster status. How many attendees are listed on this meeting now? How many have been processed? What's the status? And if there is any, the status comes from the validation, and we'll give details about that validation here. In this case, we've passed meeting validation. You can add comments as well. And come to the shoe and save those comments. Now let's go off, and now that we've seen some of the meeting information, notice here that we have a new set of breadcrumbs, home, meeting, and then attendees. So we can go to the attendee list for this meeting directly, and notice that we can toggle back. We can go see the meeting, attendees, meeting, attendees. That's enough of that. On the attendee page, we repeat some of the company information, the basic roster information, the start date of the meeting, its status, the meeting number, whether it's blended or not, what the CEU status is, and the roster status again. Here, down here, again, a familiar screen, and we list all of the attendees. Let's take a look at the detail of one of the attendees. We have one Bob Smith. And we can see that we carry all of the information that we're going to use to post into various places into IMIS, notably the on-site attendee info. We'll cancel this and come back, and let's look at how we're going to add a new attendee. Okay, let's start and take a look at how we're going to add a new roster or start a new delivery or roster for a delivery. And we have the new roster button up here, and that brings us just to a little bit of an add page. And what we do in here is type in the meeting number that we want to add, and then hit the add button. When we hit the add button, the system will validate that all the pieces of that meeting are in place. And this one did pass validation, and we have a new roster inserted, and you can see that it's pulled all of the information about that meeting, or not all of it, but key pieces of the information here on the screen for you to validate. If you wanted to add another meeting, you just go right ahead and do that. And this time I'm going to try to add the same meeting again, and I just want to show you that we do validate it and note that that roster already exists. And so we won't add it at this time. Well, let's try adding another one and see what happens with this one. And on this, we have had validation errors, and it looks like the meeting is closed. In other words, the session status is completed on this meeting, and so we cannot add it into the roster system. Let's try to find one more good one. And we'll add this one in. And it says, oh, we already have one for that, so we've done that one. And we've done that one too. So we've got a bunch in here already. Let's go back to the home page. And before we had 7, if you remember, and now we have 8 meetings in here. So that's how, anyway, that's how you add the new roster in. All right, now we're going to add some attendees. And the easiest way to add attendees is by uploading an Excel spreadsheet. Now, we're not going to use the same kind of format that we had previously. We're using a much more simplified format, and let me show that to you now. Here's an example of the format that we need. It's very simple. We're only going to bring in 4 columns: first name, last name, title, and email. And the first column will never be imported, and only the first row won't be imported. The rows underneath it will be imported until it gets to a couple of blank lines, and then it will stop. The other thing is that it doesn't matter what's in the titles. Those are ignored entirely. It always assumes that the first column will be first name, the second last, etc. Let me show you another example. Here's an example where we're going to bring in a roster that has a blank line, and it will just skip that and ignore it. If you can look real close, you can see here that there's a space before Tom and a space before terrific, and the program will trim those spaces out as it's bringing it into the roster itself. So let's go ahead and bring some of these in, and let's see what they look like. So we will upload Excel. It tells us that the version that we're going to use is 97 to 2003. That's the XLS, not the XLSX, sorry, format. That can be changed if you find that most of the work you want to do is with a newer format. We can do that. The worksheet name always has to be sheet 1, and the column order, as we described before, is first name, last name, title, email. Let's go ahead and browse, and we'll go get that first one that we were working with and open it, and then we'll upload the file, and this takes quite a while to do. There she goes. It's done. We get a little status message, said we imported 7 and skipped 3, and those ones that we skipped were the blank lines, if you noticed, if you remember from down at the bottom. And take a look. Here's Tom Terrific with no spaces in front of it, and not much more to say about that. That worked pretty well. Let's go ahead and upload the other one. That's the 1.3. Oh, here's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the later version. Try to import a later version, and that will not import at this particular point. See, it says error external table not in the expected format. It wants the 2003 format, not the 2007 format. And I have a version of that in the older format. We get that in XLS, and open and upload, and it imported 3. There were only 3 on that sheet. Let me just go there and show you that that was the case. See, these are the 3: Marge, Waldo, and Wendy, and we added those 3, and the 10. Oh, let's see. It appears as though if there's formatting in a column, it tries to import those, or looks to import them, but it skips them because they're blank. There's no data in there. You can barely see that, can't you? So we have Wendy, Waldo, I forget who the other guy was, and Marge Simpson. There she is. And that's how you import a spreadsheet. Let's re-import that spreadsheet again. I want to show you what happens when we do import the same spreadsheet twice, if that happens to go. We'll do the upload file, and notice that it did in fact import those that same spreadsheet again, same skipped quantity, and you'll see that we have double Waldos, double Wendy's, and double Marges. If something like that happens, you can easily delete the records. There's a delete button here. That'll let you just go ahead and delete. And I'm going to cancel that right now and just leave Wendy as it is, because what I do want to show you is I'm going to leave the attendees, go back to the home page, and we have 11 attendees here. I'm going to go to the meeting, and a revalidation happens every time that you go into the meeting, and it will tell you that there are duplicate attendees on the roster if that happens to be the case. So if it's possible, you reload a roster where you think you only have one or two names that you want, but there are other names, we'll catch the duplicates. And we're matching on first name and last name. Let's go back to the attendees for that, and we can get rid of Waldo. Go back to the meeting, reopen it on the meeting. Oops, it still says duplicates, but they're not, are there? Yeah, Sally Sleuth is a duplicate, because she was in the spreadsheet twice. We'll delete Sally. Go home. Back to that meeting. And now it passes validation. Well, that's all for that one. And next we'll look at entering one of those attendees by hand.